In our last video, we learned how to multiply a single-digit number times a multi-digit number. For an example, let's say we have 7,685 times 3. We put the digit with less numbers at the bottom, and then we put the digit with most digits at the top. If we multiply 5 times 3, we will get 15. We will carry the 1 and put it at the top of the 8, and we will place the 5 here. We do this because when we multiply numbers and we get 2 digits as the result, the first digit of that number goes on the top of the next digit to the left, so in that case it would be the 8. Then we will place the 5 in the first column all the way to the right. So let's continue. We then will multiply 8 times 3 and get a result of 24, and since it's a 1 at the top, we will add that together with the 24 and get 25. So the 2 goes on top of the next number over, and the 5 goes next to the 5 here. Next, 6 times 3 is 18, and we will add the 2 to the 18 and we will get 20. The 2 goes on top of the 7 and the 0 will go next to the 5. Lastly, we will do 7 times 3, which is 21, and we will add 2 to the 21 and get 23. So since there is no other digits next to the 7, the 23 will drop down here, and we will have a final result of 23,055. If you are still stuck on multiplying single-digit numbers by multiple-digit numbers, be sure to click here first and then come right back to this video. Okay, so let's continue on to the video. It's always best to learn by using an example, so here we have 88 times 25. The first thing we want to look at is the number on the bottom that is farthest to the right, so in this case it is the 5. You want to first pretend that that 2 is not there. So the next step we will do is multiply 5 times 8. Then we will get a result of 40. We will place the first digit of that 2-digit number on the top of the next number. So the 4 goes on top of that next 8 and the 0 drops down here. The next step is to multiply this 5 times the 8, and we will add the number that is on top of that 8, so in this case it is the 4. So 5 times 8 plus 4 is equal to 44. So since there is no number to the left of the 8, the 44 drops down. And then therefore we will have 440. However, we are not done yet. We still need to multiply this 2 by this 8. But before we do that, we need to add a 0 here. Some of you guys might be wondering, how would I know how many zeros to put here? An easy way to know how many zeros to put there is when you go down a row, you will tackle on 1 0 at the end before you do any additional multiplication. Then if you go down another row, you will tackle on 2 extra zeros. Then if you go down another row after that, you will tackle on 3 extra zeros and so forth. So therefore, each row that you go down, you will need to tackle on 1 extra zero. An example would be very helpful to understand, so I will show you an example of this later in the video. So let's continue. 2 times 8 is equal to 16. The 1 goes at the top of the next number and the 6 drops down. Then you need to cross out the 4 since you already used this already. The next step is to multiply the 2 times the next 8 to the left and then add the 1 since there is a 1 at the top. So 8 times 2 is 16 and add that to 1 and we will get 17. So 17 comes down since there is no other numbers to the left of 8. So when we add this up, we add right to left. 0 plus 0 is just 0. 4 to 6 is 10. 1 plus 4 plus 7 is equal to 12. Since this is a 2-digit number, the first number of that 2-digit number carries over to the next number like this. 1 plus 1 is 2. So therefore the final number is 200. Also, it's always best practice to cross out a number once you used it already. So since we used this one earlier, we can cross it out. The next example we have is 247 times 98. 7 times 8 is equal to 56. Next we will do 8 times 4, which is 32, and add this to 5, and we will get 37. Next we will do 8 times 2 plus 3. 8 times 2 is 16 and plus 3 is 19. Since there are no other numbers to the left, the 19 drops down. Let's cross this 5 and 3 out, since we already used this. Next we will add the 0. 9 times 7 will give us 63. 9 times 4 plus 6 will give us 42. Lastly, we will do 9 times 2 plus the 4, and we will get 22. So since there are no other numbers to the left the 2, then we will drop down the 22. Let's cross out this 4 and 6 since we already used it already. And let's put in a 0 here so that we can match up with what we have at bottom. 6 plus 0 is 6. 7 plus 3 is 10. 9 plus 2 is 11, and then add the 1 and get 12. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. Since it's a single digit, there is no need to carry. Lastly, 0 plus 2 is just 2. So the answer is 24,206. Next problem we have is 526 times 837, which is a little more complicated. If you want to pause video to try for yourself, you can try. Okay, we are back. Let's again work right to left. We want to first pretend that the 83 is not there, and let us pretend that we are multiplying only 526 times 7. 7 times 6 is 42. We will carry the first digit of the 42 over. So in this case, it is the 4 that carries over to the next number. We then need to move on to the next number. We will do 7 times 2 plus 4, which is 18. The 1 carries over and the 8 drops down. We can cross the 4 out since we used this already. Then we will do 7 times 5 plus 1, which is 36. And also since we literally just used that 1, the 1 crosses out. Okay, let's go to the next line. Next line, we want to pretend that the 8 is not there. And since we already used the 7 already, there is no need to multiply using that number again. Okay, so let's put in a 0 here. 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 2 is 6, and since there is a 1 at the top, add that to 6 and you get 7. Cross out the 1 since we just used it. Next we will do 3 times 5, which is 15. The 15 drops down since there is no other number to the left of 5. When you work on a new line, add in another 0. So here we have 2 zeros. 8 times 6 is 48, so the 4 carries to the next number and the 8 drops down. 8 times 2 plus 4 is 20, and also cross out the 4. Then lastly, we have 8 times 5 plus 2, which is 42. This number drops down. Then we place zeros to match up with the numbers at the bottom. When we add the numbers going from right to left, 2 plus the 2 zeros is 2. 8 plus 8 is 16. So the 1 carries over to the next number and 6 drops down. 1 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 equals to 22. Let's cross out the 1 and also let's cross out the 2 because we used that earlier. 2 plus 3 plus 5 equals to 10. The 2 cancels out. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. Then the 1 cancels out. Then the 4 drops down here. Then we will have a final answer of 440,262. Thanks y'all for taking the time to watch this video. Pretty soon I will make a more difficult multiplication problem, which definitely prepare you for most multiplication problems, so be on the lookout for that video. Also be on the lookout for my multiplication with decimals video, and in that video I will show you a neat trick that most people don't know about. Also be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be safe y'all.